Okay, so for best bets this week, Dan, how did we do last week?
Well, we both
You
did
want to give
we
us a recap?
we both did pretty well last week. You did slightly better than I did. I went 4-3 last week,
Yeah.
so it's my third straight winning week. I have turned the ship around this year. I got a win, so now I'm 4-4-2 overall in our win loss head to head battle. You had your best week in a little bit, 5-2. Could have been a 6-1. Kentucky, they should have won that game. I don't know why they just didn't show up against the Mississippi State team that we both don't think is great. So that was kind of weird, but still went 5-2, got the win, maintained that half game lead kind of over me right now, but we're still close. And either week, any week from now on, it could go back and forth. So pretty exciting. Overall, they're below us right now. I am 34-37 overall. Cody, you're back over 500. You're 39-38 now. So those are season long, but let's just get right into our picks this week. Each of us have 7 of them. You want to go first? Did you want me to?
Yeah, I'll go first. So my first one is Air Force -2.5 versus Army. Air Force is hosting Army this week, and
You see
I
what
don't.
time that game is?
I did not.
It's 11:30 my time, which means it's 10:30 in the morning Mountain time.
Oh,
They're playing that game at 10:30 in the morning local time.
that's awful. So I I like Air Force in this one just because I think Air Force's offense is better than Army's.
They're the
Like,
same offense.
yeah, but they're not though.
Yeah.
Like, Army doesn't pass at all if they can avoid it, and Air Force is like, yeah, sure, we'll pass. That's
Air
fine.
Force is like slightly
Um,
more explosive.
yeah, exactly. And so like two and a half points. That's more or less a pick 'em.
Yeah.
So like, do I think Army is the better team, or do I think Air Force is the better team?
I think Air
And
Force is the better team. So I like
yeah,
that.
I think I exactly they play in a conference where they actually get tested. So
The
I
only thing
I
I think Air Force should win this game, but it's a weird game. It's going to be a weird game. It's the military academy game, so you never know what's going to happen in those kind of games. But
definitely someone should take the under on that one.
the under is pretty low. I took a peek at it, and they know when they're setting the line. How low it's like the Wisconsin Iowa line from last week that was like
Oh
34 or something
God.
like that. But all right, moving into my pick. My first bet is going to be the under in the Georgia Missouri game. The total right now is at 59 and a half, which is fairly high for a Georgia game, considering they haven't allowed more than 13 points in a game this season, and they've got 4 or 5 shutouts on the season. I don't think Missouri is particularly good. They do have an explosive offense, but I think Georgia's defense is just unstoppable this season. It's nobody can get through that defense at this point. So I think Georgia wins this game really easily and wins it like they have all season. 30,
What's the number on that?
59 and a half. So basically every game Georgia's played this season has been a final score of like 30 something to a max of 13. So that
I'm
covers
not gonna lie. I think that Georgia could score 60 points on Missouri.
the,
I
the
think Missouri is really bad.
they're really bad, but they're not as bad as Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt,
Um,
Georgia only scored 62 on Vanderbilt, so it can
I mean, I
happen.
guess.
But I'm
I
betting
just think
against it.
Georgia is like trying to get rolling here, and like Missouri gave up like 1.5 million points to North Texas, a bunch of points to Texas A&M, and like I get Texas A&M is much better than North Texas, but North Texas is bad,
Yeah,
and so like I don't know. I like this pick, but I also just think that Georgia could score 60 something points
they could.
and cover
I
on their own.
just think that's not very likely. I think they maybe they get to 40, but I still the key here is that Missouri they're going to limit to Missouri to 13 or less points here. If that happens, I think this under hits pretty easily.
Okay.
So I'm fairly confident in that one. What's your next one?
Okay. Yeah, my next one is Ohio State minus 14.5 at Nebraska. I mean, I just don't think Nebraska is very good. They've been in some games, but this is not a game that I think that they will be in.
Yeah, I thought Purdue was going to lose to Nebraska this weekend, and sure enough, Scott Frost did the damn thing and lost another game that he probably should have won. So I like it. Don't love it because I don't fully trust Ohio State's defense, and I feel like Nebraska he still doesn't have a signature win. Like even bad coaches have a signature win. Jeff Brom, who isn't a bad coach, but he's not a great coach. He at least has a couple signature wins, so I could see it happening. All right, my next pick. I've been on Baylor for a while now, and
Riding the train.
I'm just gonna keep riding it. They're a 6.5 point favorite over TCU, who just fired their head coach. So it is at TCU, or not fired. He resigned, but fired.
Was going to get fired.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I think only 6.5 points here. I think Baylor easily wins by more than a touchdown, probably more in double digits. So I really like this Baylor team.
The only thing that I caution on that is Gary Patterson is still on the sidelines, still coaching in practice while they transition to whoever's going to be their head coach. I can't remember his name this weekend.
That makes me feel even better, though, because I feel like the players are playing for a coach that they know is not going to be there next year. So, it either goes one or two ways. You're you want to win for the guy in his last couple games, or it's just he's fired for a reason or he's resigning for a reason. So, why are we even playing the rest of the season? We're not very good anyways.
Right. Well, I mean, he's not going to be coaching in the game. He's just assisting with the transition.
Okay, that's weird.
I
haven't looked into that more than.
I think this is.
Go ahead.
I think this is a good pick, personally. I think you're going to get this.
It's more just riding Baylor.
I just like to throw out those little tidbits just so that the three people that are watching know.
Hey, it's up to 8 to 10 context.
Now. Okay.
All right, what's your next pick?
So I have the Wake Forest money line at UNC. I think Wake Forest is better than UNC. UNC played well-ish against Notre Dame, but they turned the ball over a bunch.
Yeah.
And while Wake Forest defense is not very good, I think that offense is just explosive and is going to score points on UNC. And I don't think UNC is going to be able to catch up.
Yep. So my next pick is in a similar vein because I have the over in this game because there's going to be a lot of points scored. The mantra that I've said it before, is better team plus points. I'm taking it every time. I'm not sure Wake Forest is the better team. I know they have a better record and they've played better this year, but if you look at the talent on each side, I'm not convinced that Wake Forest is a better team than North Carolina. And I think North Carolina could win this game. There's a reason that they're favored in this game. Either way,
There's a recipe to beating North Carolina.
There is.
And the thing about it is you can have all the talent in the world. If you know the recipe to winning, then you can do it.
Yeah.
And they haven't patched those holes that has made that recipe possible.
I don't trust Wake Forest is going to go in and win this game. They go in and it's at North Carolina. So if they go in and beat North Carolina, I'll be fully in on this Wake Forest team, even though North Carolina is not as good as everybody thought they were going to be. They're still a good team.
Yeah.
However, I think the best bet in this game is the over. It's 76.5 right now, which is very, very high. But this game is going to be basketball on grass. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be both teams are going to score in the 40s in this game.
I consider taking the over, but I think it's more wishful and hopeful thinking that Wake Forest is going to be 13-0 and the College Football Playoff Committee is going to have to put them in the playoffs at 13-0 for some reason.
I just can't see it. Wake Forest is going to lose a game one of these next couple weeks.
We'll see. I mean, you're probably right, but I don't know. Okay, so I guess I'm next, right?
Yep.
Okay, so my next one is SMU minus 4.5 at Memphis. I think that SMU is a better team than Memphis. I mean, I know they just got beat, but they're still ranked in the AP poll. I don't know if they'll be ranked after the College Football Playoff Committee reveals the rankings. We're recording tonight on Tuesday. So I'm not sure if they'll be ranked then, but I still think that they're a better team than Memphis. Memphis kind of got shellacked by UCF at home and has looked not as great against just teams with more talent. And so, yeah,
I like it.
That's where I'm sitting on this one. And also, I think that SMU wants to bounce back to be in the rankings.
I was about to say that's it's a bounce back game for SMU. It's a get back on track, look good against an okay Memphis team. I like it.
Yep.
My next pick, I talked about how I've been riding Baylor. Another team that I've been riding is UTSA. UTSA was on a bye last week. They're back in action. They're playing UTEP. There's a lot of talk about this game if UTEP would have beat Florida Atlantic last week being on game day. UTEP's not really a good team. Their record's 6-2, but if you look at who they beat, it's really nobody. Like their best win is probably like Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech's not having a great year this year. I just love this UTSA team. Their head coach just got a 10-year extension. So I'm going to take UTSA minus 11.5 over UTEP this weekend. Keep riding the Roadrunners.
I considered this, but on my betting app, the margin was higher, and I just wasn't on it. I also kind of think that this is going to be a relatively close game, just for a couple reasons. Like, it feels like a rivalry game. I don't know if this is a rivalry game, but it feels like one. And so that's kind of why I'm staying off of it. But I also think that this is a good pick.
Yeah. All right, what's your next one? I think your next one's the same as my next one.
Navy plus 21 at Notre Dame. I know Navy is not very good. And I think that Notre Dame is good-ish. So
that's how I feel about Notre Dame. They're good-ish.
Yeah, they're good-ish. And so I think that Navy is going to be able to like play their game where they control the ball for most of the game but don't score anything, and then Navy's just going to win, or Notre Dame is going to win, but not by the blowout score that they should win by based off talent.
Yeah, I agree.
And 21 points is a lot of points.
I actually have this one too. This is my next one as well. I had it at Navy plus 20.5. Navy's been feisty these last couple of weeks. It's basically just echoing all the same pace or points that you just made. Still don't fully love this Notre Dame team. And it seems like
suck the life out of every game.
Navy, it seems like this game, because they play pretty much every year. They didn't play last year because of COVID, but they play pretty much every year. And Navy always seems to be in this game, or at least gives Notre Dame a hard time. I've got their full history here. Last year, or 2019, Notre Dame crushed them 52-20. But 2017, 24-17, 2016, Navy won. 2015, Notre Dame only won by 16. The year before that, 10. So this is normally a close game. So I feel like the 20.5 with Navy looking better and us not trusting Notre Dame is a good pick.
Okay. So is it my turn then?
Yep.
All right. So I have my next one. I have UCF minus 12.5 versus Tulane. If Tulane goes out and does the same thing they did against Cincinnati, I still think UCF's offense is good enough to score on Tulane and score 12.5 more points than them.
Yeah. I still have a weird affection for the Tulane football team, and UCF just hasn't looked very impressive this year. In stretches. So
they've had some sparks.
Yeah,
and that's the reason that I'm giving this to them, because I think Tulane is kind of riding high off of, we held Cincinnati to XXX points.
Close for about a half.
And they're gonna kind of. they're gonna kind of like go into this thinking, okay, we can definitely hold UCF. I think they're coming in a little more confident than they should, and UCF is gonna come in with a chip on their shoulder, sort of.
Okay. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but that's more just because I love Tulane. All right. My next pick is going to be Oregon minus just 6.5 against a Washington team that has just been dreadful this season. Washington struggled to beat Arizona a couple weeks ago. Like, Arizona's terrible, and they struggled to beat them. I think Oregon's looked a lot better than they did, even though they beat Ohio State. They then lost to Stanford a couple weeks later. They looked really good these last couple weeks. I think they win by at least a touchdown, so I'll take that minus 6.5.
Yeah, I like this one. I almost had this one as well. Dang, we have just flown through these. Is this my final one? Yeah, this is my final one. My final one, I have Georgia Southern plus 19.5 versus Coastal Carolina. I know Georgia Southern is without a coach, and they just hired Clay Helton.
We'll talk about this in another episode, but that's an interesting hire.
A very interesting hire. But I've watched a few games of Georgia Southern this year. I've watched them in games, and they've played better than their record indicates in those games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now more down on Coastal Carolina.
I was about to say, man, you were like the biggest Coastal Carolina fan ever a couple weeks ago, and now you're betting against
their
them.
Game against App State really revealed a lot for me. That
they can be beat.
I was kind of expecting them to just roll through App State, if I'm being entirely honest. So that was a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
And so I'm now fading Coastal Carolina a little bit. I still think Coastal wins this. And I think they probably win by 14 points.
Well, you did it last week. You took Troy last week, and it worked out for you, so might as well keep riding it. Of all your bets, I think that's my least favorite. I don't hate it, but I definitely don't love it. So, all right, my last pick is going to be the Hugh Freeze Bowl. Ole Miss minus 8.5 against Liberty. I just don't think that Liberty's good. They got a really good quarterback. They just don't have the talent to match up with an SEC team. And
Liberty.
Yeah.
Liberty.
We're probably gonna get copyright struck for that, but oh well.
Probably.
Oh well.
I like this one. Yeah, I think that Ole Miss is just a better.
They're just
team. A lot better. Team.
Yeah. So if only 8.5, I don't know if I said that. Ole Miss minus 8.5. That's gonna be my last pick. Until next week, when I will be up in our head-to-head, because Cody, you're gonna go 0-7. I said it. Actually,
oh, wow. Okay.
Wait, that means one of my picks is going to be wrong because we both have the Navy game. You know what? I'm cool with it. I'll go 6-1. Okay. You go 0-7.
Okay. So next week, I will not be giving you my picks live. I will be on my honeymoon.
Right.
Getting married this Saturday.
We'll have a special guest next week.
We will have a special guest, and I will submit my picks to Dan to give to you. And I'm looking forward to watching that episode.
Yeah, this will be a different experience for you.
Yeah, it'll be a very, very different experience.
Yeah.
But until then, thank you all for watching, and bye-bye.
Bye.